All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Or I guess, oh my God, why is Luyten turned into a Catwoman? We'll get to that in a second. Welcome back to Running the Gauntlet GCS Week 5. I'm your host, Very Last Nerve. I am so excited to be back. Forewarning, I'm still a little bit under the weather, so you might hear me cough a little bit. Hopefully our editors will capture it. But if you ever seen these random cuts, it's because I got into a coughing fit. This week, I am joined by, still as a Joe, Luyten below me this week. Luyten, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's what I like to hear. Have you noticed that your model turns a sickly yellow when you
So
talk?
if I mute, oh yeah, no, its coloring has been better. He's sick, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, if you mute, you turn into a cat. That's
A cat.
a cat.
Wait.
That Talon? A cat in a Talon costume?
Oh, that was what I was going to use for Hwasal, and I guess I put it for myself somehow. Interesting.
And then joined, of course, this week as well by our special guest above me is Darkll. You're going to hear me refer to him as Matthew. Matthew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, not feeling the best about my team after this week, but we'll get into it.
We will get into it. And with that, I mean, we can go ahead and jump into talking about the standings after this week. So I missed a bit of it last week, so you're going to get a bit of my thought from that as well. But man, has it shaken up since the last time I've been on it. I think that we're seeing some pretty incredible stuff from all teams. I'm also just going to say it. Pool 1's so much stronger than Pool 2. Our bottom two teams are still fighting to claw themselves out of elimination. Pool 2 is pretty much decided. They got their objective, bottom 2. Am I right, guys?
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
No bias here.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
we represent all good pools in the tournament. You know what I mean? Any upsets or changes from this week to last week that y'all feel is pretty noticeable or credible?
In the standings, no, I don't think there was much movement, if I remember correctly.
I think there were a decent amount of upsets within the games, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
But the
We'll think
games
so.
were upset, but the standings are more or less getting locked in as it goes on.
Yeah, it's important to note, and I'm saying this as a reflective statement as a TO, that no team is mathematically eliminated from being able to advance to playoffs. Odds are improbable for teams, but still present. So if there is a vote or a ruling, let's say about how many games will be played in each series during finals, all teams should have an applicable vote going forward. All right. Let's move on to the first series, which is 07 versus Wizards of Wahoo. And I have to start by saying my belief never wavered, and it feels so good to be feasting like a king on this comeback arc. Like 07 are playing absolutely monstrously as a team. I think Krizo, who is Boom, was the exact right bloodline they needed to be stipend into themselves. And the team just cannot be beat. They're having a phenomenal resurgence, and maybe I'm biased, but I'm just happy to see it, right?
I don't think you're going to find much less bias here, unfortunately. But maybe that's okay. But
No,
yeah,
I
think
am
TG Boom's
also. Yeah.
TG Boom's had a huge addition for them.
You're also a
I'm a
07
07
supporter?
believer for sure. I mean, I have faith in them. I'm not delusional thinking that they're an S tier team or anything, but
Okay.
yeah. I support them.
I mean, that's good to know. Well, so filter everything you're about to hear with that, but we don't have names, so I now recognize what y'all were talking about beforehand. But I know that 9-1 TG Boom is kind of phenomenal this week.
And note of that, if you go back to the previous slide, there's a number above the GCS logo. It's colored, and since it's yellow, it's the PV in favor of 07.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be there for every series.
Wait, so does that mean 07 is
They're
their
14
players
points better, which is 14 points less.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so they started a stronger roster. I believe this is Happier Cat's return to playing for her team as well.
Yep.
I'm not sure why she didn't play Morgana here, because it wasn't banned or anything, and she chose to play Mel instead, and it did not work out too well by the looks of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Happier Cat is a player who, I'll tell you, for this series, I woke up early, as I do to prep for the tournament series, and Happier Cat was streaming, And so I tuned into her streams to watch, support people. She was not having a good time of it. Her title was literally tilted. She had her insanity meter. And when she lost her final game before stream just went off immediately. So maybe it was a bad Morgana day for her, and then in ranked, and then it rolled into this. But she did just get absolutely washed, right? Which is not what you expect when arguably the best player on Wizards of Wahoo returns. And then it looks like the second game there's a bit more fight, but again, it's the same players. That PV value is very nice to have. I want to give Luyten a big shout out. If you're listening to this part, write a little comment in the chat that says thank you, Luyten. Thank you, Luyten.
Yeah, I think letting MF rel through again. Wait, are they the same team who in the top 5 plays of the week made like the save at their Nexus? Okay.
That was WoW using MF and rel.
Oh, true. Yeah. So it is the same rosters, but they actually swapped KibCat and Happier Cat. So this is a Happier Cat Pike.
Yeah, which I also thought was very. I mean, I guess it's the tilt. She just was kind of done with the game after the first loss.
That's when I saw this live, I thought she was just playing Pike mid because I saw Gumby in chat talking about it. I never actually locked in my mind that it was a Syndra mid as well. Do we know who is playing this Aurora champion though?
That would be
Rico.
Yeah.
So
he's been locked in the past few weeks, honestly. He's been performing really well.
I don't know where Rurika came from, like where their tournament base is, where he's played and whatnot. But that player is not only like a freaking solo queue, but is unafraid to perform at the highest level of his skill in these tournaments as well. And I think now that he's balanced with like a stable top laner when Vowels is in, playing like Garen and stuff, or a tank top laner when Blue Lava Lamp is in, plus like TG Boom having a winning lane, like we're seeing them come absolutely alive. And it is crazy to see a 10-2 Aurora. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still getting my bearings again back from this week, but I guess it also makes sense to go into Happier Cat. What do you think the idea for the trade there is though? Is you take your best player in Happier Cat out of mid to put her support and put a worse player against the best player by rank on 07?
KibCat has performed pretty well, especially in the Syndra. He was part of that crazy game with the Nexus defense and everything.
And on paper, Syndra does well into Aurora, but it is like Rika, who is a Masters player, versus KibCat, who is gold. I'm pretty sure.
I'll give it to KibCat. Better QB than Happier's game. So,
guys, did Luyten just die for you, Matthew?
He did. He did. Just get a little robotic.
We just had R2D2 come live on the stream. Do you want to one more time, Luyten? One more time.
He had a better KD than Happier Cat had last game, so like.
Oh, let's run it
that's
back.
fair.
Is it really his fault?
That's fair. I mean, I guess I can't argue about it. It looks like it's a quick 2-0 wash, which, I mean, this is looking pretty tough. I think Wizards of Wahoo, ever since their early, like, 2-week spree of we're the best, has kind of just been doing one of these. You know, you can't, I don't know if you guys can even see me, but I just did a downhill spiral for them. And with these seasons getting later, I wouldn't be surprised if Wizards of Wahoo end up contending with 07 KP or 0 KP7 chat restrictions for being eliminated from Pool 1. Feels like they're a team that might end up on that border.
They're fourth now, right?
No, I think they're fifth. Okay. We'll jump back here. Like they're already going down week to week.
Yeah.
SI is going up week to week, right? So it's gonna be.
I believe that isn't any different. I think the only movement this week for our group was GF and V8 swapped.
Yeah, but it's still
which is kind of crazy, actually.
The overall trends, right? This week is kind of an interim week. I believe the results next week are really gonna seal. I imagine SI will go up. I imagine WO WoW will go down, and then it's 07 versus WoW on who gets out, and they're tied on head to head. So there's a lot there.
Only.
All right, but
okay, sorry.
Or go ahead. Yeah.
GF and V8 jumped AWB, and SI07 jumped MDFC. That was the change.
Okay.
But yeah, WoW is like in the weird middle ground of contesting with top 4, but also being scared of the bottom 4. So they really do need to perform well. Otherwise, there's a chance they could miss in theory.
Yeah, 100%.
Or they'll start in the lower bracket.
They are not as secure as I think that they are. But moving on, we're going to go into the next series, which is AWV versus V8, Atomic Whisker Brigade versus me, which I don't know if you guys know anything about this series, but this first game, it's the very last nerve show. Okay, I played probably the best Ornn that, I don't know, maybe the whole Rift has ever seen. David Edge takes his notes from me. You know what I mean? But jokes aside, like, I think this was probably our best performance as a collective team to date. And this was by far like one of the weaker rosters that we can bring to these games. And AWB brought their A team. And I'm putting A team in quotations because I just mean they had both Reborn and Elune. And you couldn't even tell. Like, if you look at this performance, you would think that's Woof Woof on the Viego. You know what I mean? Wait. Yeah. And then it's right. There was a brief period where we thought that Woof Woof was going to have to play in this series, where it could have been Woof Woof Viego, but then client issues were resolved. But like, I'm gonna speed through this as a 3-game series because I want to get the connected thoughts in. Chat, pause for VLN yapping real quick. We go into game 2, and my whole team is telling me that like we're winning this game, we're ahead this game. TV maintains that we were ahead this game. I don't really know by what metric like we were ahead in, because you can kind of look at these charts, but I believe them when they say that. I shouldn't be put on Maokai. I think I'm benching my Maokai. I think it's just too tough to be useful on. Genuinely.
Especially in Namundo.
Yeah, especially in Namundo. But this series, like, I think we were losing this because we were starting to have communication breakdown in the middle of the games. That's V8's biggest weakness. Not to say that AWB didn't play well, but they weren't particularly abusive outside of Reborn's Gwyn, despite having the gold advantage in the objective leads that they had. And as the time went on, this series, we kind of got put on a leash because of TV's out of real life timer, which then caused some rush plays, some things, and we eventually stopped listening to each other and died. And then that just rolled into the third game, where like it's just an absolute abysmal performance all around. Like our KPs are so low, everything falls down. And in this series, Reborn showed why he's a Grandmaster player. For what I feel like is the first time I've really seen him in these tournaments be able to do when he's in against a good jungler. Most of the time it feels like he folds. But it was hats off to AWB. GG's to Promech. I don't think Promech can say with honesty that I'm a silver player, but I guess we'll see in the comments of this. You know, he left a comment on the Ironworks for Tom Tua where the title is, we interviewed GCS's worst player. He left a comment that said, the title is crazy because Riley's right there.
That's crazy.
But that is just my brief synopsis of the games. I want to get an outside opinion and take on how things were going.
I didn't watch this series, but the immediate thing I saw was a 23 PV diff and you guys getting a single win. And I think like you can be upset you didn't win if you were in the position to, but getting a 1-2 in that case is honestly not bad at all.
I will also say, I think in the second game, you did have all 4 drags, which is like nothing to like. I know you're down to like a crazy amount of gold for most of the game, but like Soul is also pretty strong. So,
I mean, I would disagree only because like Ocean Soul is a tank soul and they have the biggest tank buster on their team fed out of their mind. Not to say it's bad to have Soul. Soul's always good, but it's just a noticeably weaker Soul this game, right? Because Gwyn can chew through us faster than the passive regen saves us.
Well, I think the big thing with Ocean Soul is being able to hit objectives and not take damage. It is good to see you took Baron at least, but I don't know, like, if you got Otacon or anything, and I think you really have to abuse that strength to be able to win with it.
Yeah. And we were, like I said, like, I trust that my team's saying we're strong, not to say that they weren't. Like, I'm not a silver saying we weren't. I just kind of followed on blind faith. But at no point did I ever feel like we were communicating enough to convert this into a winning game. And from there, it was just kind of a losing game, right?
Yeah, I think their team definitely like Omega outscales you also. So
yeah, that was the call for this third game, is that we outscale, is what the team was saying. I don't consider Tristana a scaling ADC. And so it feels like then the only person on our team that scales is Aurelion Sol, right?
Do you know what Tristana's passive is?
I don't. I openly.
She gains range every level. She is definitely a good scaling ADC, especially into a Jhin against tanks. But it's hard to scale when you're 16k gold behind, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, our options this game were Tristana and Vayne, and ultimately the draft team decided it was better to lock Tristana. I do want it on my record that I would have liked the Vayne. I just want it on my record. But at the end of the day, if your Masters player says pick Tristana, you pick the Tristana, right?
I am surprised to see a collector on the Trist there. That's a beefy team to play against and have.
Yeah, like the only squishy person is Jhin.
Also, how can Diana get away building Unending Despair? What, like, just a ridiculous champion and ridiculous item, by the way. Just want that out
there.
She's
pretty broken right now. And she's getting buffed, too.
Well,
fun fact.
That's bad. That's neat. All right, well, I'm going to move it right along so people don't think I only ever want to talk about my personal series. We only
want to talk about our pool. So, you know.
True. Like, it is just the objectively better pool. So this is FF versus GT, which I have insider information on, which is that there were jokes about making this series have 200 kills from STL, but then he said, no, we really need the easy wins. So he wanted to lock in for it to make it a quick 2-0, which he did. How are we still letting Jinx Milio through with group therapy?
It's okay. In their defense, the Jinx was 0-2, like early into the game, and then the problem with Jhin Mel bot lane is that they have like absolutely no disengage, so Jinx can just kind of like run them down for free.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen STL like turbo stomp a game from start with Jinx, but the second he gets any gold, it just starts snowballing so quick. I don't think it's worth just an 0-2 lane. You got to really stomp that lane.
Like, if we rewind this back one, we're seeing a Syndra ban and a Victor ban. And Lulu makes sense. Lulu's really, really tough right now. Was this
I think you're looking at the wrong team.
Or wait, am I looking at...
That's who they banned.
Yeah, that's who
yeah. Wait, no. Wait. Then what did...
They banned like 4 times.
They banned Rumble, Hecarim, Skarner. No, I think it's left or right.
Why?
So I think those last 2 bans are for R5, but
yeah, no,
I'm surprised to see 2 jungle bans.
Why?
Especially because, like, we're banning Seagull Slayer, respectfully.
We're banning Seagull and leaving Jinx Milio. I think FF just struggles so much internally, like with decision making, both in and out of game, that it's just reflective at all levels of play. Big shout out to Chubby Dumpling, Carpet Bomb Corky, 1-0-30, a 31 KDA flawless game, padding his stats for the leaderboard right now. And then just into the second one, where it's like, this time we adjust. Like, look at the difference between Bands Game 1 for FF versus Bands Game 2. It's like they suddenly realized the team they were playing against, right? Am I crazy with this?
Yeah. I just really dislike Shaco support. This game, I don't think it really does anything.
I'm really surprised. Like, those damage charts do not look like a bad game from FF, and you look at the gold graph, and it's just like, what?
Well, I mean, does it? Because you look at damage charts like that, sure, but then you look and you have a Malphite and a Skarner who will be putting up high damage like that just by the nature of the fact they don't die, right?
Fair.
And then everyone else on their team is supposed to deal damage and does. I think I agree with the Shaco support sentiment as well, but I think Pony might be playing things for fun since she feels a little jailed.
I think it's like, it also just looks like a draft diff. Like, you have 0 winning lanes whatsoever for FF. Like, every lane is just bad for you.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with like Ornn ult plus Galio ult plus Silas stealing Malphite ult or Skarner ult, and it's just like, how do you play the game in team fights?
3 winning lanes with a Kayn against a Skarner for the jungle matchup, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, and the highest win rate matchup in the game, even when you're not on the same team, is for GT. Or on the same lane, excuse me. Silas
Yeah,
just
the
Silas Malphite,
pops
Silas
Malphite.
into Malphite is very good pick by Dumpling.
I will note also is that the PV diff is pretty brutal here. Hate to see it, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it does, right? And I'm very surprised, because this, again, to reiterate that I understand
FF is 22 lower?
Yep.
Wait, that means they have the better team?
Correct.
Huh. Even at their best, it is tough for their chances at playoffs if this is among the best that they can put together.
Their chances are very slim, and honestly, they probably are hoping for disqualifications.
Yeah, well, move into a much more pertinent series, one that doesn't make me sad to hear. We get our first series of our special guests, which is SI versus NS, Nova Chrysalis. I think, if I have to slap a tag every week like I do, that this was the biggest upset of the week. Not necessarily by PV. I just mean, if you loaded in, if you saw this matchup, you would expect NS to win this 2-0, I think. And they lose it 1-2. So we'll jump right into this first game, which is a pretty sizable stomp for Subtly Inting. Like, not to say that it wasn't competitive, but once they started winning, the game was just won. And so, Matthew, you played it. What do you think about it?
I did. I mean, yeah. Zoe, when it went ahead, is just like so problematic for our entire team. And the same goes for Master Yi. So it was going well early game, like it was about even. And then I think I like died to a Zoe bubble at level 4 from like a quarter health. And I just like absolutely did not expect to get one shot like that. But the game just kind of fell apart from there, and we had like nothing to shut down Master Yi, so he pretty much just ran through our whole team in team fights. So
yeah,
we had a poke comp, and we just got outpoked by Varus, Zoe, and Cho'Gath, which made it pretty much impossible to play after like 10 minutes, I would say.
Okay, I'm gonna rewind us real quick just to take a second and look at y'all's bans as well. It looks like you're putting 2 into Pyrosis with the Irelia there, right?
Yeah.
And then the Rengar going away, of course, makes sense. It's interesting. Were y'all not expecting the Yi to come through on this game 1? To not draft any like point and click CC for him?
Yeah, we did not see it coming, to be honest. I think he picked it like 4th. After he picked like Vel'Koz, Caitlyn into their Varus Renata.
Okay.
And yeah,
I think KTN, as I roll into the second game as well, has kind of locked in after people called for his removal, given some behavioral stuff. And I think it's paying dividends for SI. I think that player has single-handedly started to convert this team into a winning team, raising morale, performing very well in jungle, and enabling his teammates. Just want to give him that brief shout out. And then this second game is a full stomp all the way through. This is kind of what I was expecting from Nova Chrysalis. And so where's the pivot here?
The pivot is we ban Zoe, and then I don't have to deal with that chip. And honestly, I don't remember much of this game. It's kind of a brain fog to me. I think that bot lane was just kind of winning automatically. I didn't die to LeBlanc at all, I don't think. Maybe like a couple times, but it wasn't like that big of a deal. So she got pretty far behind, and LeBlanc is like useless from behind. So they just had a tough time playing into. Oh yeah, the Mordekaiser also took Hail of Blades and tried to cheese Yorick like level 1 with E start into Hail of Blades, like instantly get his passive. And it did not work at all, and so Banana was able to just kind of like run him over in the top lane, which made the game pretty easy.
It's good. He also got his Yorick that first game too, right? It's very surprising not to see him do much.
I don't think they even banned. They may have banned Alawi, but I'm not.
Look real quick.
Sure.
Did not.
No, they didn't.
They
didn't ban Alawi or Yorick for the first 2 games.
They did not designate the top lane as that important. And then this.
I will note.
This game,
this game. The third game is incorrect labeling. It is the other way around.
Wait.
Yeah, the gold graph, we were ahead in gold the whole game.
Wait.
Wait.
Okay. Hold on. This game is labeled as an SI victory.
It is an SI victory, but
and
the
the
left and right
gold chart that you have down here is Nova Chrysalis's gold. How does SI win this against you guys?
Well, if you look at the next screen, look at the ADCs real quick.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's so SI leaves up. Oh,
Domino
you guys
loses.
steal it? You steal the Neela?
No,
this
is
is
inverse.
This is
No,
also
they
still
play
inverse.
Neela.
Okay. You
Yeah.
guys elect to leave open an OTP's OTP ADC. And he hard carries this game, but is countered by a hard carry support ADC duo. Even still, like even 23-9 Domino Luminous, great player, phenomenal player, by the way. Don't want to diminish his achievements. This is a phenomenal showing of why you should ban his OTP. It still looks like your full team is winning here 45-34.
Yep. We had, I think we just like the team fights, we need to have like the utmost respect for Rakan, Neela, Orianna, because if they jump on Zeri, the game, the fight is just lost basically. And that did happen a couple times where it's like Rakan ult into W into Nyla ult into Orianna ult on the Nyla, and your whole team just gets wiped in like half a second.
Yeah, I can tell you, we learned that lesson too.
So I think it was just a problem of no flame to bio, but I think he did say like we need to ban Nyla because I don't know how to play into that champ.
I feel like most people don't. I feel like she's a very
which like she was not like she was definitely behind for most of the early game, but I think I gave her a shutdown when I was like, I think I gave her like a 700 gold shutdown or something. And then they won like some team fights, and I don't know if they stole any objectives or anything, but we also could have won. Like this game was actually like so unbelievably back and forth. Like they took our inhibitor 2 times, we took their inhibitor like 1 or 2 times. And then we try and fight them at their nexus when they're like semi respawning, and we jump on Alawi.
That's a crazy target to pick.
Who already has his E on Karma.
And
yeah, we just kind of lost.
You chose the one player that you couldn't
deserve to lose that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this a Billy shot calling game? I imagine
that was. Yeah. I mean, pretty much all of them were Billy shot calls, but that like he definitely said like jump on the Alawi here.
Yeah,
and was surprised that she didn't die after he ulted.
We can just call it a Billy loss then. Solo losing you guys the game.
Yeah, Soul or Elder was also up, so we could have gotten Elder while they were still respawning, but we thought we could win the game, and so it was kind of like an Omega throw. To be honest with you.
We call those, unironically, we call those a throat goat maneuver, from where throat goat, famously looking to reclaim their title, chose to try to push for end risky instead of just going it Baron, and lost and eliminated themselves from finals. It's always better to just play it back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough series, and I think if you're SI, you're very, very happy for this. But I think they're net neutral on moving up in the team PR that Geekee has after this week.
Yeah, because the games are like so, or game 1, game 1 was a stomp for them, game 2 was a stomp for us, and then this one like was so close that they really like they got the win, but it like barely counts as a win. I think
they moved up an average amount, I believe, and
they moved up a little bit,
really far.
And we moved down like 20, but it wasn't like significant for how big of an upset it was.
Yeah.
Well, then we're gonna look to jump right into the next one as well, which is our favorite permanent co-host. Dialed it back there. Right. Our favorite permanent co-host team, Glue Factory, versus Molly the Dog Fan Club. Luyten, how did you feel about your series here?
I felt great on the bench. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
my ADC, my companion ADC was putting up numbers. Oh my word! Look at that damage.
Real quick, I just want you to know, for some reason, I thought that this was a 2-0 for MDFC, like all weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I was actually really hyped to make fun of you for this. And then I am looking at the website right now, and then this as we load in and recognizing you guys didn't lose.
No, we did not. I mean, if you look at the PV difference, I hope we did not. It was a hopefully well-deserving stomp, at least this game. It was really well played by our bot lane, and they snowballed the lead really well, as well as Drake stacking. Love to see.
I have to make fun of Funny Button real quick. I sent out a ping to everyone who is subscribed to our Patreon, which he is. Thank you, Funny Button, for that. To reassociate their Discord account with their Patreon account so they could get the role. And for some reason, he left the server in doing that.
Oh,
and then
I was wondering what that was.
He rejoined and messaged me. He was like, I don't have access to any of my team channels or anything anymore. And it's because he tried to reassociate his account and leave. I don't know how he did that, but apparently he leaves it all on the Rift and not all on the Patreon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Which at 13-1, Caitlyn is kind of crazy. But this isn't... I assume J-Rich didn't play this game.
No, this is Elvina and Don't Ever Stop, which I'm not sure.
I believe that's Paradox is his other name.
So, yeah.
That's the other thing I'm going to call out Button. Dude, this guy pisses me off. He's got 3 different names. Come on. Choose one.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in name consolidation as well. Just makes everything way easier. But, you know, they don't live to make our lives convenient. In fact, they exist to make it inconvenient. Love you guys, though.
In the game 1, there was another one. I don't think Naki posted his VODs, actually. But he had a really good ult when he was running away, and he had the patience to wait for the Master EQ to go through and then jump to the other side of the wall. It was really clean. Shout out Naki, that guy's locked the fuck in.
That guy is locked the fuck in, has great streams as well. All right, and then this...
I feel like Brain Rot.
This second one is just... I mean, it's more of the same. This feels like it was a Stomp series. Now that I don't have anything preloaded to say about it, because in my head, you guys lost this series, and now it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not true, but it looks like more of the same. Even I'm surprised that Caitlyn gets through twice. But is this?
They did have J-Rich in this game, so it did perform a good bit better.
That's fair. We see Drysickle on the Mundo here.
Yep.
Need to keep that in mind for our rematch.
Yeah, Drysickle has played every single game, I believe.
Dude,
so.
You got him like committed? You be talking to him to keep him in GCS forever, hopefully? Smile?
Smile.
Hold on. I'm a YouTube chat. GIF this and turn it into a GIF.
Okay. We're lost in the dark here.
There we go.
Yeah, we can't see you.
There we go. That's not for you guys. It's not for you guys. Don't worry. That's for YouTube.
All right.
That's for me and you. YouTube comments.
I'm on YouTube.
All right. I mean, it's pretty. You guys are really, really strong. I'm never really surprised when you pop off, especially against. No offense, Molly the dog. I still have faith in you, but a lower on average elo team for us. But I mean, solid performance overall. Solid performance.
Yeah, I'm not. We're feeling good in a second place spot, but I'm not definitely like we're not assuredly second place. We still got to work to do and figure out playoffs. So
yeah, which. Remind me to talk about playoffs at the next standing tab. I'll go and I'll give some insight into that. But then rolling it into the pool 2 teams, we have Lacuna Matata versus TWO. All right, weird cut, but Luyten actually messed something up. We're gonna put it on Luyten. Okay, so the thing that we just talked about doesn't need to be here. But going back real quick to reglaze everything that I said in the initial glaze, Lacuna Matata performing well above what everyone expected. I think their growing pains and schedule gap has moved away, and they're now starting to show through as a stronger team. I do think they're abusing the weaker teams in their pools a little bit. I think the stronger teams in their pools wouldn't let them perform how they've been performing. But they're still very, very strong. All right, boom. That's everything I had to say. On to you guys. How did you feel about the games?
Yeah. I think their team is really good at setting the bar for what is a good team and what is a bad team, where they stomp the teams below them. But then the teams above, it's definitely more of a fight. We'll have to see more from them to really know if they're a contender or not, but they are doing really well at beating the ones below them. And like you said, Owen's really performing. Lacuna's done really good. I'd like to see more from Acid Step, but outside of that, I think they're performing really well as a team now.
Yeah. Also, just real quick, the cut was we loaded in the wrong game as a game. So you're only going to see this game screen for us. We don't have the first one, presumably.
It was very similar.
That's pretty much
all
the
you need to
same.
know.
Yeah.
Lacuna got Udyr twice. What can you do, man?
Exactly. So
is it Udyr Garen? Oh no, it's Aatrox.
For you guys not seeing it, gets it twice, pops off. The team does great. Lacuna Matata very strong. TWO probably in a position to advance as the final seed for their team. I think Mouth Breathers is a bit stronger than them. And I think that the World Orders beats the Legend of the Leg and Freaky Floppas with their backhands for that pool. I think it's pretty much decided the teams that are going to advance for that, for pool 2.
They have a pretty rough schedule, and they actually do play Mouth Breathers. So that might be the matchup to determine which seed they are.
I'm very excited to see how that plays out.
Also like to shout out Edmund. Holy moly, this guy is top of the DPM charts with like a bunch of Masters Plus players, and then there's just an Emerald ADC.
Yeah.
This guy is going crazy.
It's not here, but the first game he plays Tristana, and like their team is like losing the whole game, but he is like trying his best to split push and apply pressure the entire game. And I thought that was, he did a good job there, even though they
that might be a different game. Looks like he played Vayne this game.
Yeah, no,
he's talking about the first one, the one that we don't have loaded.
Wait,
but this one, I don't know. I hate Vayne. I think Vayne is so bad in this comp because if you like, they have tanks, but if you're like in range of them, you probably just die.
But it looks like he gets trip banned in the first set of bans here. Like what are you like? You can't fault him for locking Vayne here. They trip banned him.
I'm surprised. I thought the Vigar was actually admin here, but that is AliXO on Vigar and Edmund on Vayne. So I would have thought he would have taken the Vigar at this point.
I would have imagined he would have been on Neela. I thought he had been practicing that pick specifically to have a 4th pick ADC. Maybe I'm leaking something for that.
I feel like it's not amazing in a Sivir, but I don't know.
But yeah, Edmonto, I am brainstorming an award specifically for like the sleeper pick award, basically. Like these people who went under the radar and are performing drastically above category. Not just well pick value to performance wise, but like in the way punching above award. And I think
almost
Edmonto,
like a most improved award, but a little different, yeah.
Yeah. I think
that surely must go to Tom Tua, right?
No, Tom Tua is performing at or below expectations.
How do you perform below Iron 4 expectations?
You don't listen to the calls by your challenger mid laner. Moving on. Moving on. To
Skilly, right?
Speaking about it, MVR versus Summit admins. I'm praying that everything lines up here.
This is called what's happened when you don't have Gumby Power on your team.
Yeah, this is Gumby Power took a mental health break because he had been trying his best to turn every double iron game into
what's
wins.
with that Zinzo build?
Okay, so I just want to say openly, Gumby Power deserves his break, and this is what happens when he is on break, unfortunately. Okay. What is this Xin build, actually? Is that half 80, half AP Xin? Is that Ritty?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Ritty. I'm disappointed in some admins for not giving Ritty his mid lane win. I feel like this was a free win for him, but maybe he needs to work for it, so that's fair as well.
I was very sad that Gargoomba, believe it or not, I like Tom Tua. I did not like seeing him in this series get beat like a dying horse the entire game. Gargoomba did not let up a second. Tom Tua was being directly punished for his sins in this game, and Gargoomba was just like the vessel through which God spoke. Because Gar streamed his game, and it is just him pressing the E button on Yone, smashing all of his abilities and killing Tom Tua, effectively waiting for Tom Tua to respawn and walk back, and then just doing the exact same thing again. There was no remorse in his head.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say, really?
But it's just...
What was the BB dip this game? Can you go back?
Looks like a 60. God. That's a Minecraft stack right there,
This has got to be, honestly, kind of like a big brain move by MBR to, just basically throw away a series to get all your bad players their games in.
Yeah, are you saying Ricardo is the best to ever do it? Yeah, but
he might be.
I do have to say, as we also look into the second game, I was still genuinely surprised that Summit admins managed to take this as a 2-0. Without Gumby, I was expecting this to be a 2-1, only because Melon Orb loaded into this series and played both Morgana and Brand, and she is still probably hands down the best player to be playing in this tournament right now. And I thought if anyone could do it, it would be her to spur this roster into at least one game win. You know what I mean?
Team's holding her back. What can you say?
Yeah, it's like, how can you play when you have a 0-6 Yone and an 0-8 Ornn on your team? Like, you have infinitely more KP than them, and there's just nothing you can do with it, right? And this is the game. Okay, this is the game that I wanted to talk about earlier because we loaded in the wrong one. Why is Sexy Shawarma locking in Teemo support here? There are no auto attackers on the enemy team except the Yone.
For fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna say for fun. I mean, look at the Warwick build. Like, I think they were just cooking in these games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't see what I'm doing, Ritty, but I swear to God, you ever do this to my wife again in one of these games, I'll fucking ban you, Ritty. I swear. Okay, y'all can look back on what I just did, but that's for me and him to know. I mean, again, it's like, what more can you say about this series? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's not really much to be said with how big of a skill gap there is across the board. I think that Osha on Kayn is like not good here because like I looked through the game and his team was down 8,000 gold before he got form.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's just like
at some point you're just gonna play the champ. You know you're gonna lose. Just
I guess, but like you have
fun.
nothing to play for, you know.
I think it was just I'm gonna play whatever because the game is already over.
Yeah,
but
like I have some notes about like here's how you could maybe win, but like realistically, there's really not much you can do.
Matthew, I would be willing to bet every dollar I've ever earned, have, and will ever earn that if I load you in with this team in place of Yeet, there isn't a single thing you could do with your skill in this game that Spencer couldn't do, and you could still win the game.
Yeah, I have some DMs that would agree with you.
Okay, leak them.
Like
you've been talking about them, Luyten, on the leak them. No, this was we'll conclude the Saturday games and we'll roll into Sunday.
There was an FF on Saturday, I believe.
We do, because
it was
PP versus
FF.
leg.
Oh yeah, thank you for going through it.
PP forfeit 2 leg.
We will not be addressing those games because they are FFs. Just keep that in mind.
Fuck you, Poro Pounders.
Yeah, fuck Peter Griefer. Then we load into 07 versus V8, which is, again, I think I'll run through this series and then get y'all's feedback on it. This first one, I go on my, patent pending Ornn. I was feeling noticeably more sick this day. I actually really regret my build this whole series. There's no reason that I should be building how I built, given that the double solo lane is AP here. I effectively became an R-bot because I would die so quick otherwise. I mean, it was a scrappy game. I'm not necessarily disappointed in how any of us played outside of myself. I do think when we're locking TV on Nunu, I have yet to see him put up a 41-0 game or even close to that level of skill he was exhibiting in this tournament locking Nunu. Despite everyone else on our team doing phenomenally, and it's not like I was necessarily doing outright bad myself. We have Owlbird mid here who is a gold mid player against a Masters tier mid laner, kind of holding his own and doing what he can. But at the end of the day, Rurika's a freak. There's nothing you can do about it, right? And then we go into game 2, which is like, this is a scrappy win altogether. This series, I get my set. We decide in champ select, because the Malphite gets locked and Malphite just obliterates set. It's like a horrible matchup. To do the lane swap. And Albert, I can't sing his praises enough in these series. He does amazing. He wanted to take criticism after the game, and we just had to tell him, there is none. You did great. Like, take this game and leave proud. And I think I did really good in the early game stalling Rurika. And I was very, very happy with that. As we transitioned, he became more useful to me, especially when he started roaming. But in those early levels, we did a lot to push our advantages where we had. And our team was strong. I actually don't really even remember winning this game. Like, this game was so lost in what was this first game and then what became this third game that like I just knew we won to push it to game 3. And then I get set top and I'm against Blue Lava Lamp, who's been around for a while on his OTP. And I did great. I actually did phenomenally in lane. I was very, very proud of this game, despite being 3-6 by the end of it. I still am proud of it. We had some communication breakdown between the games, but I think we should have won this, and we lost it because we weren't talking. You can see our goal graphs and our advantages just start to slip away, and the moment they start slipping away with us, they were gone. I want to give a big shout out to Owlbird through all of these series. Me and TV have already talked about these series. Ping Spam has already dealt with what he had to deal with these series. And Dan Smith is working on warding. That is my summary. Great team to play against. I was very happy to go against 07. I felt like we really got to play like at the highest caliber where you feel your mistakes. You're aware when you make a bad decision impacting your chances of winning it. And I was very happy to have that in this series. That's all. I'll rewind it to game 1 now for the outside analysis.
I'd like to shout out the PV diff. Kind of huge, kind of great.
We're actually equal. That's
yeah,
crazy.
It was exactly even. I think Blue Lava Lamp is another person who deserves a shout out. We talked about TG Boom and whatnot in previous team. I think Lava Lamp has had a really good season and is performing pretty consistently well.
Yeah,
I had another thought, but I forgot. So
this Malphite became like our biggest worry. Like it was very obvious that we needed to get it out.
Yasuo Jinx. And the Yasuo Jinx is kind of like, how can you play against him?
And then, Matthew, how did you feel about my play this series?
I mean, to be honest, I did not watch it. But if you say you did well, then I believe you did well. We played solo queue together, and you kind of like carried me, to be honest, even though I was like a full division above you. I think, based on it, it sounds like the communication issue is just like
it's roaring and apparent every time it comes up. It is tough to be in a game where you have to have your silvers and your golds in the lobby be the one to ask, like, is this a play we can do, right? Because like most of the time they just don't know. But that's the only thing that gets the ball rolling for us. I also want to just jump in on this last game one last time to say Blue Lava Lamp is by no means a slouch. I was very proud of how I got to play this. I've actually practiced this matchup. We banned specifically for him to get his Kled. I played well, but even despite getting a lead and even getting ganks to further that lead, Blue Lava Lamp was able to stall me really well. He abuses his champion's mechanics very well. He knows how to exploit dismounts pretty well. He does have a phenomenal top lane presence. I do want to give him that. Those flowers, Blue Lava Lamp. It was a good time for me. It made me feel proud to play into your Kled.
I will say I'm disappointed in you guys for having such low kill amounts against 07. Every game I've seen of them, they've been so scrappy and skirmish heavy, and
the second game was pretty boring game.
I think we have
the second game. Actually, how does the gold graph fluctuate?
The first game was a bit better.
Okay. Oh yeah.
We have a ridiculous. Okay, here's our problem. As a team, if you want to know how to beat V8, I'm publicizing it loud. Our lower elo players play our primary engage, or TV plays primary engage. If our lower elo players are playing primary engage, they're typically waiting for, do we do this? If I'm on set, I can see it. I take some good ones as set I was proud of. Geekee can see them when he's in support, but we don't have him all the time. But aside from that, it is, do we fight here? And that moment of communication, that requirement for something to happen, means we're not fighting. And when we are fighting, we're losing these team fights because it's reactive. Or in counterance, if it's TV as our primary engage, he knows when to go in. He just gets afraid that if he goes in, he has to rely on us to go in. And if it's wrong, we lose because of it. And so we just have this rampant fear of engaging and team fighting on our own grounds and our own accords that we can't convert these early leads that we get in lane and pressure into team fight victories and then objective taking later in the game. I think it is something that we will address before playoffs, but it is something that's very, very apparent with us right now.
My advice would be to just do scrims like twice a week, which is what we've been doing, and I think it's worked well for like we've gotten like pretty much everybody in rotation for the scrims, and it's very helpful to like be confident in each other during the scrims, which translates to good team fights in the actual series.
Fair and supported. I got to move us on to the next one. We're running a bit behind on schedule for myself. So we're going to jump into WoW versus Nova Chrysalis. Matthew, I want you to talk me through it because WoW kind of has a crazy return to form in this series after losing pretty surprisingly the previous day. So, I mean, This is your team. How do you feel about it?
I think that we, from what I saw, which I didn't watch too much of it, I saw a little bit of game 1. And then some game 2. I think we just kind of got out macroed both games, to be honest. Like, we weren't playing too bad, but like the first game, we were down a little bit of gold, and then we started to bring it back, and there was like a team fight at Dragon or something, and the set just split and like literally backdoored us. Like, our team was fighting, and we lost the game because I like didn't even see it coming. I was not watching the map, and I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, it was a very hype moment on stream. The chat, which keep in mind, the chat was actually rooting for Nova Chrysalis, but when the backdoor, like the pan, because they're fighting at like Dragon, and then it pans to the set taking the screen, the chat blows up, dude. Like, what? And Zeotal like was just abusive with it in the game. I've always said I love seeing a set do well, but it just has to make you mad, right? To lose to the backdoor.
Yeah, I think that was definitely pretty tilting. And then game 2, honestly, like this was kind of a crazy game. I think like we played the team fights really well game 2. But again, I think it was either like getting picked or just like kind of giving up a lot of pressure in the side lanes just led to WoW kind of like, I think it was like just one random team fight where they got like 2 or 3 kills, and they just used their main advantage to win the game after that. And so again, I don't think we're playing too bad like mechanically. I think that when it comes to playoffs and we play our main roster, like this game was okay, now I'm tilted or chaos. And like he's definitely not a bad player, but I think that it's hard because none of the rest of us really are good at like being like, hey, you need to go here.
Yeah.
Sounds to match, said.
Similar thing that we're having. Kind of that communication, knowing who it's on to shot call that, right?
Yeah. But I think, we, as long as we make it semi unscathed through the next few games, then we can basically just play our main roster like throughout the entire playoffs, and I think we'll be good after that.
Makes sense. Was Billy crashing out over any of these series this weekend?
I don't think so. I think I was definitely crashing out after Saturday. I was like literally, I could not stop thinking about that third game like the rest of the day. And actually, it shook me to my core. But Billy, the rest of my team, I think, has better mental than I do, and so I don't think we're like too tilted. Hopefully, I guess we'll see this weekend, but I believe we can come back.
Luyten, how do you feel about Billy being described as having good mental?
I think that's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know him a bit better than me, but from what I know,
I don't really know him, but I'm pretty confident in that one.
From what I've been told by a secret online source who has chosen to be anonymous, is that guy crashes out pretty hard. But I mean,
maybe like in solo queue, but I personally have not. Maybe he's like fuming mentally, but like from the way he talks, it does not sound like he's crashing out after.
I could see that. I know. I have a fellow teammate who crashes out like crazy in solo queue, but in team comms, love the guy, amazing.
Shout out. We'll get to who that is in a bit. But we're going to move on to the next one here with Leg versus GT, which is just another GT needs wins weekend, right? SDL kind of wanted to play to the best of his ability. And here you see him 12-2 cutting through. I don't even think Nico showed up for this series, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he did.
Oh, he did? Did he miss the Sunday?
Yeah, he's Oriana.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he did not play. But You have a 0026 Milio. Again, padding those stats for his KDA. Dumpling kind of just chews through them with STL. Not to say the rest of his team didn't perform. I mean, look at all of them. I even think Noah Adamax gets his performance in here. But it's just like, there isn't much you can say when you have gold graphs like this. It's just, to some extent, a mismatch. Lulu Twitch, 13-1, just cuts through them like a hot knife through butter, right? Like, platonic ideal for an ADC almost. But I don't know. It just, Leg, I feel like, has written themselves out and are playing for spoiler if they can, or otherwise they're just playing out their games.
I'd love to see a 1-1-1 KD in a win. Amazing. That's my weak side warrior right there.
Yeah, Cho'Gath didn't even get that big, you know? Like, that's a stackless Heartsteel. I'm kidding.
I
know it doesn't. I was
you got me. You got me.
You know what I mean? But like, it's gonna be a short chapter in the YouTube video. But like, what do you want us to say? They made Legend of the Leg look like
what was the
Legend
PV
of the
difference here?
45,
47.
Holy, that's kind of crazy.
It is their best roster, I think. GT.
CC Swift would be technically their best roster.
That makes sense. But I think GT is.
It's a small difference.
Nearing the point. Maybe they only played Noah because they had to, but I think they're nearing the point that they can just run their best players because everyone's hits their game requirements. Man, that word was tough. But then we'll move into the next one real quick to jump in. Between these two series, you would see 2 versus FF, but that was in FF, just so everyone knows ahead of time. And then we move into MDFC versus AWB, the only other contender for the biggest upset of the weekend. The only reason I didn't label it as such is because when Woof Woof is jungle, AWB tends to do crazy things. It can be 2-0 in someone you don't expect, or getting 0-2'd by someone you don't expect. And this week, they pulled Woof Woof jungle getting 0-2'd. And MDFC just played amazing. And Bessa gets to body Promech Tom Kinch. Promech, if you're watching this, tank abusing the diamond isn't a real way to get diamond. And I'm glad that a bruiser player shows you what it looks like to be good at top lane. That's all I have to say about the matchup.
Yeah, I loaded into this game. I was like, ooh, I really like MDFC's draft blue and Jared's around really carries, and they've been performing really consistently. And then blue Loki's like the last small they saw.
Yeah.
And like gameplay just absolutely 1v9. Like, it was crazy. I think there was also, I think they started a Baron, died a bit. The others started taking a Baron, and then Zach stole the Baron. And then they like slowly turned into a win. I think like what E3 consecutively top lane, and then they just ended off it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I want to give the jungler for MDFC. Their name is eluding me as I'm talking.
Or Romeo.
I believe it was Romeo or Spartor, whichever they go by in the game.
His in-game is don't
ever stop. Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, they've been swapping.
He attributed their win to the smite key, by the way, because apparently Woof Woof could not hit smites throughout the full series. Did not matter what happened.
Yeah, spoiler game 2, they were Baron steal. So
yeah, it makes sense. Woof Woof rolls a weird 3-sided coin where he's either like diamond or emerald level, gold or silver level, or just bronze. And I guess he rolled bronze this time, and it's over with for his full team because of it. Shout out to Alun. I'm sure he's doing his best to try to be a carry for them. But then you go into the second game, and again, it's the same thing. Tanks getting abused by bruisers. Them just winning around the map, and wherever they lose from like team-based macro, they can just pick up with a steal. Like, and again, J Rich is getting his Zeri right here. Don't let the man get his Zeri, man. How many times? These people just, I feel like they don't watch Running the Gauntlet. You know what I mean? They don't see the picks.
They're not going to watch the other team, so how would they know what to ban? We're telling teams that that team is watching themselves, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not going to ban that champ. Why would I do that?
Yeah, if only I would have known before we played them, and then I would have banned them Nerve. And it's like, well, I've been saying this for, God, it'll be.
Well, now they'll hear it, and now they know
weeks.
For playoffs.
Yeah, they know for playoffs. Really? Hopefully. Also, got to throw this out here. This stands as the highest viewed on by average viewership, best of 3 for GCS Season 1. It is not our highest viewed stream, and it's not our highest average view stream, but individual best of 3, it is the highest average viewership. It averaged at 50 viewers the whole time it was on after about 15 minutes into getting into the match. So from match 1, 15 minutes into match 1 to the end of the series, 50 viewers came through to watch this match live. And boy, was it worth the watch. It was a complete upset. And this just goes to show you Pool 1 is stronger than Pool 2. Lacuna, if you are here by some stretch of a miracle, our bottom team, MDFC, dog walks your whole pool.
Wow. I don't know about the whole pool, but
you got to stand with
probably
Pool 1, Matthew.
More than he says, which is probably 0. I would say like an infinite amount times more than 0.
You guys don't stand with me on this one? Fine. We can just move on to the next one, I guess, which is SI versus GF. Luyten, how you feeling about the games?
It was a little disappointing. Somebody should have told me to ban Nyla, I guess. I don't know, man.
If only we had warned you the day before.
You should know to ban Domino Luminous' Nyla. You've played.
No, I wasn't here for this series. I was just watching a stream. They actually, I think, should have won this game. They had a pretty solid lead. I think, we had Soul. But they kept just kind of over-engaging and letting Nyla jump into them and one-shot people. And Shin ult on top of an Nyla ult, not very fun. I think they just didn't play side lanes very well this game. And it should have been a win, I think. But it was just well played to SI as well.
I think this 2-0 I conflated with MDFC. Because I do see the Darius jungle here, which is what I remembered. Because I saw it in Champ Select. Was like, okay, SI's trolling, GF 2-0's this series. And then admittedly, I came back watching Naki stream to see 6'1" Jack KTN just sprinting all over the map and just running through people. When his ghost was up, the Darius was like untouchable, could get on anyone, could kill everyone. And I was like, I didn't even know Darius could go jungle, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, KTN. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid jungle. The bleed passive does a lot more to jungle camps, I believe, is why. And it's a good takeaway from Drysicle. So I can kind of get it. It was pretty good from them.
That's good. Maybe we'll get TV on that.
But I think
it still looks like you guys had counterplay, like you said, like it's a sizable match.
Yeah.
For you
I
guys.
think it should have been. If we played it better, I think they should win.
I just think
I don't know about from a draft perspective, but
Nyla's very hard to play. Like it's so easy to make one mistake and then you just kind of get blown up by Nyla.
Yep.
Yeah, and she has so much like it's not sustain. I guess peel or whatever, like becoming untargetable and all that with the parry mechanics gives her a lot of like ability to just stay alive when she shouldn't.
Yeah. Plus, like I think SI does a very good job of playing around. Nyla. What's the name? Is it Dan Smith?
It's Domino Luminous.
Shadow Paga ?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's his Discord name.
Yeah, they do a very good job of playing around him when he's on his Nyla.
Yeah, it's a very strong team. And then
how do you learn that?
And then this
personal experience.
What happens to second game, Luyten? Just
so if you look at the PV difference between game 1 and game 2, you'll notice a significant drop off in our favor. We took out Pandemonium and put in GamerD support. I missed most of this game. I'm a little concerned as to what I know we got invaded level 1 again. They did a really good job invading and just abusing our jungle a good bit. But I could not tell you what happened bot lane. It's a little scary looking there.
Yeah. I do.
It's looking like me and Gilly bot lane, to be honest with
you. Dude, yes. Hold that accountable. Funny button Gamer D versus Gilly Matthew bot lane one day. I would love to see the matchup we're in. I also want to shout out KTN and Damian Naruto. They had a good bit of banter in the general chat. Very good spirited. GGs were said. I really appreciated seeing that, especially given the performance difference in this game. I know a lot of people get upset when they lose as hard as this loss is. I was happy to see people were willing to leave the game as a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Oh, yeah, kind of an expected loss from our end, so it's hard to be too salty about it,
Luyten haters rise up, though. We're eating tonight, Luyten haters. They're down.
I went 0 this week. My bad.
His team is down. His chances of getting the playoff money, which has been increased by $240, is low.
We went down.
Your chances of winning went down.
True.
Then why did we go up in the stand?
It must have been a fluke.
Yeah.
What's great? So you went 0-2 this week, right?
Mods figure that out.
Right.
Me?
Your team went 0-2 this week, right?
My team went 0-2, but me personally?
Yeah. Despite that, you went up in those standings because Woof Woof is even worse than you.
Yeah, he is.
We also went 0-2 and we stayed at the top. So
well, you guys had a pretty sizable lead. So
yeah, it's just because we're kind of the best to ever do it. What can I say?
Yeah, until they put you in the mid lane. But anyway, moving on to the next series, I do want to jump in and say between these as well was the Summon Admins versus Poro Pounders FF. Summon Admins FF'd into Poro Pounders. Unable to make 5, I believe. I've been talking with Strand about that, so it should be resolved. But then we load into what is actually seeing this now. I did not know that Mouth Breathers were ever in this match, but it looks like they lost it on something.
Yeah, so I watched this one from Owen's point of view, and it was a hell of a game, but it was honestly a hell of a throw from Mouth Breathers. Owen got like 6 solo kills or something crazy this game, including 1 or 2 on Gumby. And after getting one of those solo kills, they got Baron and kind of just ended the game off. Or they got Baron and Elder and kind of just ended off of it.
That's cool.
It was a pretty fun watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Owen was hella tilted, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I would love to double back and watch this series. I did not check in with much with the MBR this week because it was being played right over there in my game room by my wife while I was in here setting up tournament stuff. And so I try not to pressure her when her series are on by watching. It's Talon Cat Luyten. But yeah, I mean, that looks crazy. And then the second game is, what's the difference? What changed? What?
Quite a bit, apparently.
How did it go from, it's the same PV, no players changed. It's just bot lane is turbo behind, top lane's turbo behind.
Don't pick Zed, I guess. I don't know, man.
Was it Zed into Malphite? Is that what happened there?
Yeah, I think, it was.
I think Gummy Power's just
I missed
countered.
most of this game.
That's when you put the Jinx mid and you put Gumby Power Zed ADC.
Ironically, they would have had a much better chance, I think, if they did that.
I think that's the only world that you get out of this. Another stomp.
I don't think Jinx does very well in Malphite either, but I'll let you guys believe.
Which this is.
Yeah, but she can at least
she can
farm
play like range, just farm. Doesn't have to walk into Q range for Malphite like Zed does.
Yeah.
Plus, Jinx is the most overpowered character in the game. How do you think that you got Diamond playing her? Yeah, take that. I mean, it's just another quick stomp. Lacuna Matata gets a good win to push themselves up in their pool. As we move back to the standings, you can see that they've actually locked themselves at 3 here. Or not locked, but pushed themselves up to 3. And are very, very strong. There was something I said to bring up at the standings next time we got back. Oh,
yeah.
Playoffs. What were we talking about for playoffs?
Something about like no teams are out of it yet.
Oh yeah, no teams are out of it.
Disqualifications.
The pools, the rules that were coming up for the pool vote, which was to determine if these games would be best of 3 or best of 5. As it stands, I think the vote finishes in like X amount of minutes, but I'm pretty sure it's going to finish as all the games remain as best of 3, except for individual finals games. As teams get eliminated, we will know what teams are advancing. And so your seeding will then matter if you get placed into upper bracket. Top 4 teams of each pool get placed into upper bracket, or lower bracket, which is the bottom 2 teams from each pool, start with a loss in the double elim. And then your opponent will be seed 1 of pool 1 versus seed 4 of pool 2, and vice versa going down. So if the tournament ended right now, and everyone was locked in, 07 and MDFC would be eliminated from pool 1. WoW and SI would start in lower bracket, and Nova Chrysalis would start their first game in finals against Group Therapy. Okay, so if y'all want to start planning or prepping, or if you want to get your ideas in about who will end up where and who your first match in those weeks will be, that's how it's going to be determined, just so everyone knows. Took me getting there back in my head, but we're back there. So now after talking about it, standings feel good. Everyone likes them and where they're at.
I don't think everybody feels good. No,
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling pretty good too. I can't even lie. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think we are at the top 3 of our group, so that is pretty nice. But it is close.
It's
like
very, very close.
WoW is right at 15. SI and 07 are still duking it out. I think the bottom 4 are all. So SI, 07, and MDFC all will play each other these upcoming 2 weeks. So those will be really big matches. I think strength of schedule wise, there's not too much of a difference.
Yeah.
I want to say 07 might have the hardest strength of schedule, but they've also been the most improved and have an actual player change. So I'm not too scared for them.
100%. I think it is just going to come down to the 07 versus SI match. Whoever wins that will be the one to advance, is my prediction.
And yeah. And I want to talk about Pool 2, but there isn't too much to talk about Pool 2 other than individual spots. I think the 4 and 5 and 6 are kind of locked in, you know?
Yeah, I
Mouth Breathers can maybe contest with Lacuna or GT if GT doesn't do well, but
I don't know.
Is there any difference between 5 and 6 for going into the bracket?
Yeah.
Or...
So,
very minor, but yes.
So technically, the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, 5th seed will have to play against the loser of 1 and 4. So technically, if all goes expected, the 4th seed is expected to lose and then become the easier of the matchups for the 5th seed. So they technically get an advantage of being 5th versus 4th, while 6th will have to be 6th versus 3rd. Right?
That sounds correct.
Technically, it's like we're talking at that difference, it's like fractional advantages. You're just happy that you advanced.
I'm going to live edit the doc so that we'll have I got the bracket image in for you.
Okay, sounds
Give me 1 second.
Dude, that would be clutch. The bracket is just like a black box to me. I have no idea how things get moved over there.
Fingers crossed,
I feel like
Lacuna will have worked on the schedule. When regular season ends, the website will go through like a little bit of a change. We don't know how long it'll take, but all of what's on the schedule now will be condensed and put away for you to look at. And then there will be a new schedule that is in some way the bracket.
Yeah, I think just having something like what Luyten's putting up would be good to be like, hey, this is where, the first seeds go. This is where the second seeds go, and so on.
Yeah. Luyten, tell me when we added it.
Yeah, you can move once.
All right. This is the tier list.
You might need to
refresh. Yeah.
All right, chat. Everyone look away for a second. You guys fill the void.
Dumpling's going to have to do some crazy editing.
Dumpling won't have to edit this. We'll leave it in.
What are we looking at?
What?
You're good. Just do it on that slide. Yeah.
I just thought that you were revealing. Okay, so
no. This is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, this is the normal.
That's the upper bracket.
Yeah. So 1 to 4. Yeah, for Pool A versus Pool B, this is 1 and 2. Just for nomenclature, take a quick second to look at it. And then this is what your losers bracket will be. So loser of winners bracket 1-3, you can see is 2 and 3. So Pool 6 will have the harder first opponent in losers bracket than seed 5. So there's a slight advantage, but a lot of that's based on your perception of the team. Some people might end up thinking that Pool 1 seed 3 is stronger than Pool 1 seed 1, but their schedule gap got them there. So it's not really an advantage in my opinion, but technically it's there. That is how the bracket will work. Pool 1's seed 1 versus Pool 2 seed 4, vice versa all the way down. Transitions into the people already with a loss. Please keep in mind, if you start with a loss, that genuinely means you start with a loss. You are effectively playing a single elimination bracket. I have had some people think that starting in losers bracket, you still have 2 losses. That is not true. You do not have 2 losses. If you lose once, you are out. Okay.
I would like to comment. I'm not 100% sure if those loser of WB 1.4 are hard enforced. Like if seed 1 loses, we might throw the lower seed of the 2 at seed 5. So that would mean the seed 1 would go up to the seed 6 instead. I'll have to talk to Bubbles and whatnot about that, and I guess you, but
I'm live perplexed by
this
that.
is more a generic thing. We'll figure out the exact details later.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll get it all figured out. Don't worry about it, chat.
This is a generically good starting point, though.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our tier lists. Luyten, who did you put first? I assume it's Matthew's tier list.
Yes.
So just so you know, we'll also be giving ours back this week on our return. But Matthew, I actually want to hear about your insight into your own tier list. Please make sure to tell us, what do your tiers mean? Is there value to left and right positioning in these tiers? And then a brief oversight of why you put each team where you did.
Yeah, so basically, I could probably readjust this now after going through all the games like in more detail. But S tier is basically like who I think is going to be in the finals. I think it like pretty solidly NS and PP are like at the top of their pools. And so I don't think it should be very surprising to see them show up in finals. A tier is like these guys I think have a pretty solid chance of making it to finals. Now I do have like, SI is up there and they're like seed 5 right now, but I think like Riley is a believer in MDFC and GT. I am a believer in SI. I think that team like looks so much better than they're performing for some reason right now. And especially when we get into playoffs and they can just play their best roster every time, I think they're like actually, assuming they can like, coordinate together and like get synergy going, I think that they are actually like pretty good as a team. Summit admins, I believe, are at the top of or they're second in their pool. They've been like showing consistent solid performance the whole tournament. V8 has definitely moved up. I know y'all moved down this week, but y'all have definitely shot up in the last couple weeks.
Yes.
And I think that if you continue with that kind of trajectory, you'll do well. AWB is honestly just like a coin flip if Woof Woof wants to like actually win or not. Like he's just been putting himself in the jungle instead of Reborn Mountain, and I think that's like maybe the most troll thing he can do with his team.
Yeah, talk to him, Matthew. Talk to him.
If he like actually tries, then their team is like pretty fearsome. Which you saw, I believe, in the first few weeks. They're at the top or near the top. B tier is just kind of like these teams haven't really left the biggest impression on me, to be honest. I could probably move Mouth Breathers a little lower, Glue Factory a little higher. But overall, they're just kind of like average team, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then C tier is like these guys. It would take a lot for them to do it. Again, like I said, I'm a believer in the 07, going from 0-7 to 7-7 by the end of the round robin. But realistically, I don't know if that's gonna happen. And then Molly Dog and Legend of the Leg have just been kind of not performing the best. And then Freaky Floppers, unfortunately, is a tier of their own.
We might as well call it the FF tier, huh?
They have. We were talking about this. They have like surrendered 4 of their games or something.
Yeah.
But even then, they're still like 1-5 on their game record. So, again, they're not mathematically out of it yet, but it would take like a legendary comeback for them, I think.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think this is a pretty valid tier list. I think any disagreements we'll have when we go over ours, but super solid outside of... It is crazy to have GF and GT in my mind in B tier as the tier that they haven't left an impression. That's kind of crazy to me.
What can
I don't think that's too crazy to say about our team.
Maybe I'm biased because like we played y'all. Well, I played y'all, and it was a pretty easy 2-0.
Dude, he's dogging you, man.
No offense or anything.
Well, they didn't ban your Akali, so that's what happens when you don't ban a gold player's Akali.
Did you? I don't think I even played Akali.
You played Akali the first game.
Yeah.
No, I did.
Yeah, you got your infamous solo kill.
So? Oh, he did.
Yeah, solo kill
I think he got solo kill back.
Yeah, he did get solo killed twice, but he did solo kill Naki first. He solo killed him first.
That's what matters.
All right, well,
yeah, even I was down like 1,000 gold, but it's fine.
take the kill, Matthew. You solo killed a Masters player as a gold player. All right, moving on to the next one.
Okay, never mind.
I'm gonna jump in on mine. Wait, this isn't mine. Is it?
Not?
No, I did reel myself in. Okay.
He's tripping.
Okay, I forgot about
Trying to
something.
guess.
So naturally, my S tier is the people I believe most likely to be in finals. That really hasn't changed much, despite GT being underrated or overrated. I don't get the hype. A lot of it is what I know about the strengths of the players individually as people, in that their strongest 5 hasn't really met on the Rift at all, I don't think, for their teams yet. Like, actually having their core 5 players, I don't think they've taken any full 0-2 loss without an FF, but I might be smoking crack on that. Great team, strong team, in contention to win it all. Mark my words. Then you have Nova Chrysalis. I think they're kind of on fraud watch. I still have them in S tier, but I'm putting them on fraud watch. Not because I think they're not strong enough to win, but I think they're so in their own head that they're God's gift to GCS right now that they're actually playing worse because of it. Sorry, you're going to hear me breathe weird because my breath is catching up for me from the sickness. And then we have an A tier. It's 07, baby. Never in doubt. Never going to question them. Every day they come back. Oh, we're going to put them in S tier. Right now we're moving them up to S tier. 07's back in. Every day we have faith. We never have to shave our hair. It's all good. They're going to finish 7-7. They're going to go undefeated in the playoff brackets until they play V8. And then they'll beat all of the losers bracket until we meet them in finals. They're the best team to ever do it. 07's back, baby. They're 1,000 years 07. Every year, 1,000 years. And then I finally get to rectify my biggest mistake, which is I do think Summon Admins is a team in contention to win the whole tournament. I don't think they're strong enough to contend with GT and Full Force GT and NS. So I can't comfortably put them in S tier, but I can comfortably put them high in A. And then we have ourselves, same thing. If we can figure out our communication issues, I would put us top of S tier. I think V8's very, very strong. Porter Pounders, of course, speak for themselves. The only thing holding them back is Peter Griefer. If he can be more Peter and less Griefer, that team would probably be able to take it all the way to the end, but I've yet to see it. I would actually move AWB with how they've been performing down, based purely off performance, to B tier, because they're taking some really bad losses, and I think Woof Woof is going to end up on their final roster as their support. And I think that's GG cooked, go next. But how I feel about them, I have to put them in A tier. And I've actually shot Lacuna Matata up there for the same reason. I think that they're really, really strong and are finding their grooves really, really well. I can't comfortably put them anywhere close to finals. But if we end up where they are in finals, I don't think I could say I'm surprised. And then we have our B tier, which you'll see the differences. I kind of move more people up. I'm kind of upward biased. Mouth Breathers, kind of feeling the irons pretty hard. Can't really comfortably put them up there much higher. You know, GF, Glue Factory's also kind of starting to show some trouble, I think. They have a very strong team in concept. I kind of think their stronger teams fall apart in comparison to the stronger teams that they'll be seeing in finals. I think main roster versus main roster against a lot of these teams, Glue Factory kind of gets mogged a little bit. And then WoW, I would actually move WoW down. I think I would put WoW in C tier, even with their performances on their best rosters recently. I think it's likely that they're going to end up knocked out. And SI is on a bit of a demon arc, so they're up much higher, but I can't comfortably put them higher against any of these teams that are already or above them, just because I either think they're going to get beat or they got Woof Woof diffed. And I don't really want to give teams benefit of the doubt for Woof Woof diff. I kept my C tier the same. I believe this is the same C tier I had before. Molly the Dog, you're on a revival streak. I have faith in you. I'm praying for your victory as much as I'm praying for 07's. I think you're the one with less juice in your tank, is what I have to say about it. I want to see you guys succeed. We're Pool 1 brothers, rep till the day I die. Sin of Arrogance should rename himself to Sin of Pride. But you needed to start coming alive earlier, and you didn't. And I think it's going to end up shooting you in the foot. And then FF is FF. That's my tier list. Nothing? No comments? Everyone agrees?
No. I will say,
I don't know if I agree, but
I do kind of agree that NS is on fraud watch. And like, this is something I've kind of believed like for most of the tournament, is that we are we were overhyped because I think like the first 6 games we basically played our like best roster like every time. And now that we're having to get in our lower or higher PV players, you can definitely see us like struggling a little bit more. But I think when we get to playoffs, we'll kind of make up for that by not having to play us.
Dude, fair. And then we'll load into Luyten's. So Luyten, let's get your Yap spiel.
Yeah, so I made mine a little bit different than normal. First of all, I labeled it kind of crazy. But I've also, this isn't just positioning in standings, but I went more with how I think teams are going to perform in playoffs as well. So a little combination of the two. I looked at teams' playoff rosters, assuming captains aren't trolling. That's why AWB is in top dogs for me. If I think Wolf's going to troll, you drop him to Miracle Run. But for me, I have NS up top, just kind of with how their season's gone. They do actually have one of the worse off playoff rosters, I believe. So I am a little concerned for them, but just with how they've been doing, and I think some people are performing better than PV, including Matthew. So it's fine with leaving them there. PP, top of the standings, one of the best playoff rosters, I believe. So I think they're definitely a team to watch for. Same with AWV, not performing as well, but a really, really strong roster. Summit is really similar to NS for me, where I think they're doing really well, but I have concerns for them in playoffs to the point where they remind me of a team I played on that was captained by Tungi that won the regular season and then absolutely instantly crashed out in playoffs.
Dude, why you got a dog Tungi like that? He ain't even here to defend himself.
I can change it to Ritty if you want. Ritty was on that team.
Dude, we should get Tungi to be the guest next week. Remind me of
Dude, down. I love Tungi. That guy's the GOAT.
All right, back in. Refocused.
Mouth Breathers, opposite end, where I think they're going to be worse off in regular season, but I think they have high potential to absolutely run the lower bracket or lose first round. Pretty much.
There's no in between.
There is
no, I don't think there's much of an in between, honestly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Group Therapy, really good playoff roster. I think they're going to lock in a better playoff spot as these next few weeks go. My team, very middle of the pack, honestly, when it comes to playoff roster. I don't know if I'm confident to say we're going to hold our second place. And getting third or fourth is scary, having to play against Pro Pounders or Summit admins in the first upper bracket run. But I believe in ourselves more than V8 for the exact reason you listed us, because you guys actually have a pretty awful playoff roster that's almost like 100 points when most are closer to 80. So I like, you guys are performing better than your PV value, I believe, but just off the number alone, I kind of have to put you in Miracle Run.
Who do you have playing for us if you have us at 100 PV?
That's your lowest point roster possible, I believe.
Yeah.
There's no shot. Run the math.
It's Agu top, TV jungle, Bubbles
Pink
mid,
Spam.
Pink Spam, Dan Smith.
Yep.
No, we'll be running Geekee.
And
we'll be running Geekee support.
Then you're over 100 points. Then.
Yeah.
Damn it!
I
thought it would make it go lower.
By like 9 points actually.
Lacuna, I think, actually might be better in playoffs, but it kind of just depends on the Lacuna Owen show, you know? Not sure how much I believe in that. Sadly, Enting, there's a chance they don't make playoffs, but they have a really good playoffs team. So I think if they do make it, they have a really good odds of running the lower bracket a good bit. Wow, I was on Fraud Watch. Sorry. Unlucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not too much to say about it. Death might get shot. 07, I think, they're Schrodinger's team. They're both in Miracle Run and not making playoffs. It just fully depends on their matchups into MDFC and SI. I don't know, too, man. They're just that team. There's nothing about them that really screams to me. I think they have the second worst playoff roster.
And I think they are the team most likely to not advance because of playoff conditions.
That is unfortunate. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I haven't really watched their games much either. Like, I keep seeing Edmund on these DPMs, and I'm like, wow. And then it was like, wait, I've only seen like 2 games of Edmund. Unlucky. And then those 3 teams I just think aren't making playoffs. And even then, like, MDFC has the absolute worst roster for playoffs. They have the highest point total team as well, I think.
I no Mouth Breathers definitely beats them.
Maybe, yeah, but that's
GT is also pretty high.
in a much different manner. So
True.
Yeah.
I think those 3 teams are kind of cooked. Unfortunately, I think MDFC definitely has a chance, but they're gonna have to really do well. So, that's about all I got.
What's your PV? What's your team's PV calculation running funny button over you?
Give me 1 second.
Because I bet that's just gonna be pushing 100.
It's 91.
Yeah.
That sounds right. 20.
And we all know that you're gonna get benched for
No, I think it's 102.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I do that math? Wait, what?
We don't gotta get bogged down in the minutia. Just know your starting roster for finals is also gonna be close to 100 points.
Oh, I was looking at it. Yeah, no, he's right.
Because you're gonna be.
No, it's 98.
Benched.
98.
98.
But then moving on.
Unless I did math wrong somewhere, but
we got some more gambling this week. So Matthew, I don't know if you have any religious disposition against gambling, but if you do, we're breaking it today, where we're gonna be gambling live. So I'm gonna start with this one real quick, but then I'm gonna go. Actually, Matthew, we'll go up with you, and then we'll go down to me, and then we'll go down to Luyten. All right, Matthew, go ahead. Do you think a team is gonna get disqualified, presumably meaning from advancing to finals?
Yes, it's not looking great for FF, to be honest.
Oh,
that's all I'll say.
You don't even think that they're gonna meet their play requirements for their team either?
Oh, do you mean like getting top 6? Oh,
no, disqualified by rules.
Yeah.
To be honest, I can't really say. I haven't been looking too much at how many games everybody's played. But glancing at it real quick, Jake from State Farm only has 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games.
So,
2 series.
Or 2 series. I mean, yeah, 2 series, 7 games. So he needs to play like the rest of them.
Or they do not advance.
Yeah, or they just like auto lose.
Yep.
And then the World Orders is the same thing.
Yeah, the
World Order and Pro Pounders all have a player that need to play all remaining series.
Those are your 3 teams for the gamble. If you had to gamble on
Hyun could play only 3 series because he could reach the game count.
Yeah. I have faith that all the teams will successfully get all their players' games in.
No schedule gap.
That is a crazy bet. I mean, I'm not going to agree with you. Like we said, it's SIPP or the World Order. Who is most likely to not advance out of those 3? Because they all have a player who has to play all remaining series to hit the series requirement or some weird game totals based off it. Despite Hyunpai being close, I'm actually going to say that the World Orders is most likely to be disqualified and most likely will be unless Earthen reaches out to me soon because Hyun, who has 2 series played, 8 games played, can only play Sundays. He cannot play Saturdays.
They rigged the system.
So
there was no chance.
Interesting.
No.
Unless they reschedule.
They can attempt to reschedule. I've already reached out to them for potential force replacements. We're working on that. But
wasn't he a replacement?
He was. He was a replacement with the game limitation being told to the captain. And the captain still agreed to take him. And so I would be willing to bet that if the World Orders does hit their force play requirements, it will be without Hyunpai on the team. So if they keep Hyun, they will be disqualified. Luyten, what's your bet?
I think a team will be. I just really hope it's not Pro Pounders because I really want to see that team in playoffs.
It would be tragic if they got DQ'd.
Especially because we're going to get another bum-ass Group 2 team in the playoffs that doesn't deserve it.
I actually think Pro Pounders of the 3 are the least likely to not qualify.
That's good.
Because that guy is apparently like the replacement for Yuji is apparently like a good friend of Peter, or not Peter, of Different, who can get in contact with him pretty often. So yeah, moving on to the next one. Which Group 1 teams will start in the lower bracket? Matthew, I want to hear I have a hot take for this one. So Matthew, what's your take?
Well, we've been talking this whole time about how it's like pretty much a toss-up between WoW SI and O7. Obviously I gotta have faith in O7, and then I'm also gonna say SI and my prediction. WoW is gonna drop to
Ooh.
7, and then SI and O7 are gonna be in the lower bracket.
Okay, that's crazy because that's actually my exact prediction as well. I would predict it to go 07 SI, then WoW being eliminated at 7th is my anticipation for it.
Man, took the spice out of my hand. I wanna have to overcook, and I'm gonna say it's AWB and 07.
Whoa. Okay, explain explain
what's
how
that?
we get there. Yeah, who's going up, who's going down.
SI gets 4th.
Okay.
Holy.
I could see WoW losing their next 3 matches and falling
Definitely
all the
with
way.
like how tilted Happier Cat can get, I can definitely see them just like mental booming the rest of the game.
Yeah, I actually think it's almost guaranteed. Who does Wizards of Wahoo have left to play?
GF, AWB, V8, MDFC.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough cycle as well. I think you guys have a chance to 2-0. I think we have a chance to 2-0. I think AWB has, like, it's actually just MDFC that they can win, but that team's already eliminated.
Yeah, call them out. Why don't you?
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
I mean, if they lose those 3, maybe MDFC gets a free win there.
And then we move into, does Mouth Breathers advance to the 4th place position in their group? Matthew, your prediction?
Give me a second. Let me look at how many games they play.
There are 4 games left to play.
Yeah.
And they're currently 6th.
They still need Tom Tua to play 2. So
series, yeah.
And like is Gumby even gonna play if Tom Tua is like anywhere near the game? I don't know.
I think as long as it's not 2 irons, he'll play.
Okay. Then I am gonna say no. I don't think with the players they still need to play, and the teams, who do they need to fight actually? Let me check.
Let's see their schedule.
It's a pretty easy schedule. Well, okay, the first 2 are already.
Yeah, and then GTPP is the last 2. So they're probably gonna lose the last 2. They're probably gonna win the first 2. I don't think they're gonna win the first 2 enough to counteract losing the last 2. So I'm gonna say they probably will not be top 4.
Okay. We got to vote no. I'm gonna vote yes. I'm gonna go all in on Ricardo and my wife, and I have nothing but extreme faith, and Gumby, that doesn't matter how monstrously iron Tom Tua can play, if it's just one of them, the team can build him up into like a gold level fortress that they can protect and then win the game with. It's my prediction.
Surely he will not go even higher on the death leaderboard.
Surely, if he's the only iron, he cannot be dying more than he currently is. And then Luyten for a tiebreaker vote.
I don't think they will, but if they don't, it's because Lacuna Matata are frauds, even though their remaining schedule is pretty hard.
Yeah. Put him on fraud watch.
You know what? No. Lacuna is a fraud, just individually.
That guy can't hit Diamond 2. Say it. Tell him he can't hit Diamond 2.
I can't either. I can't say it. Sorry, bud.
I can't either, and I'm saying it all the damn time. That guy's hard stuck Emerald. His peak, or my peak, is his playground, but that motherfucker still can't hit Diamond 2. All right, and that's Lil Ricky. Wrap it up for the running the gauntlet at this week. Matthew, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to say as we look to segue out of this recording?
No.
Oh, well, you're the
Wow.
Every guest seems to do that, I guess. Why even ask?
I feel like I was not prepped for this. Okay, what am I supposed to say?
You can be like, go sub to www.twitch.tv/GCS League and subscribe to www.youtube.com/Gauntlet Championship Series.
And also www.patreon.com/GCS League.
Oh,
it's Gauntlet
man, he's better than you.
Championship Series on Patreon.
He's not better than you.
Luyten, you got anything you want to say? Yeah, sub to GCS League on Twitch, Gauntlet Championship Series, blah, 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 Dumpling, put all that in the doobly-doo down below. Just get all that figured out. Luyten, you got anything you want to say?
Shadow Dumpling, he's the content goat.
Yeah, Dumpling is solo carrying us as an institution. And I'm paying for him a visit to Vancouver.
Oh, you know, we need to get back. We need more. We need to make like the 1v1s that happened a week ago or something, like a regular thing.
Oh, no. So we need to bring it back with you and Gilly being a 2v2 lane.
Yeah, against
against
Gamer D and Funny Button.
Yeah, Funny Button.
That's such a one-sided match. But sure, yeah, we'll set that up.
It's a good starter, you know?
Hey, if you're watching, leave a comment on what YouTube content you want to see. I'm your host, Very Last Nerf. We're out of here. Bye.